Come and find me later if you do have any. Thanks very much. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Groves. That was a very informative presentation. So Dr. William Pinsky, our next presenter, has been in academic medicine in various leadership positions for the past few years. He is currently executive president of the ECFMG, the Educational Commission for Foreign Medical Graduates, for which he has taken position as of last year, July of 2016. Prior to that, he was executive president of Oxner Health System. And for those who don't know Dr. Pinsky as well, he is actually a race car driver, and he has a charity, Racing for Kids, one of the fundraisers actually being held here in Mexico, in Monterrey. Dr. Pinsky's talk on ECFMG 2023 policy. Dr. Pinsky, thank you.
Thank you, Melissa, and good morning, everybody. Like Trish, I don't speak Spanish, and I'm going to blame it on my mother. So when I was growing up and it was time to choose a foreign language, she said, oh, you have to learn French. French is so important. And here I am decades later, like Trish, wishing that I had done Spanish. So I appreciate your bearing with me this morning as well. And thank you very much for the invitation to be here. Thank you very much for the wonderful dinner and libations last night, and the music and the singing. It was a lot of fun. What I'm here to do today is to really, I want to tell you about ECFMG. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with ECFMG to a point, as I was when I took over this position July 1st. ECFMG really is an organization with a lot of resources, and so we're going to go through that pretty quickly this morning. I'm also going to remind you about FAMER. FAMER, I know that there are people in the audience that have worked within FAMER, and FAMER is our academic foundation as part of ECFMG, making significant contributions around the world. And then I think to talk about something that I'm sure has some degree of controversy is to talk about the resolution that the ECFMG passed back in, I think, 2010 about seeking students to be ECFMG certified who have graduated from an accredited medical school where the medical school has been recognized by an appropriate review process in their home country. And I know that that is something that's controversial, and I want to talk about that today and why this is really very important for all of us, whether or not there's any students coming from your schools coming to the United States for further training. So about ECFMG. So a little over 60 years ago, ECFMG was founded in Philadelphia. We are a nonprofit, non-governmental organization. We have somewhere between 700 and 800 employees. The reason I can't be really exact with that, we have seasonal employees depending on the residency match activity in the United States. And then we have standardized patients, which are part of our clinical skills exam as well. I thought it would be important to read through our mission because I think reading through the mission can help perhaps clarify and maybe dispel what I know one of Mexico's favorite people talks about, fake news and alternative facts, because I really want to be clear what ECFMG does and how we do that. And really, when you look at all of our activities, all of our resources, our goal is really to promote quality health care. And we want to do that through education. And we do that in the United States, by certifying individuals who wish to come to the United States for further training. And we feel that's very important to do because we think medical education, as you all know, is very important in terms of improving health care in all of our communities. FAMER, so working with FAMER, the Foundation for Advancement of International Medical Education in Research, as well as other partners, we actively seek to promote medical education throughout the world in subsequent research activities in medical education. So what are the various components of ECFMG and how do we work? Well, our historical base work is evaluating international medical graduates for their suitability to apply and to compete for residency positions in the United States. And by the way, not only is today a celebration of St. Patrick's Day, this is also the day that the match results are released. I think in about 5 minutes, actually. The computer gives the results to the applicants and to the programs. And I imagine that there are some of you out here that have some of your students who are in the match, and hopefully they'll be receiving good news. The screening mechanism that we do is extremely thorough, and frankly, it's very complicated. It has been a real education for myself, understanding the variety of medical schools throughout the world, the variety of ways that medical schools are licensed in their home countries by either the Ministry of Health or Ministry of Education, and the true activity out there of counterfeiting credentials. So one of our main goals when we're reviewing an applicant for ECFMG certification is to determine whether or not they are who they are, to determine that their medical school is real, and that the credential that they're presenting is actually a credential from this medical school that's operational in their country. And we always ask for documentation from the ministry in the respective country as to whether or not the graduates of that medical school are eligible for licensure in the home country. That's just one of the surrogate ways of determining the legitimacy, not necessarily the quality, but the legitimacy of the medical school. On top of that, then applicants to be eligible for residency application have to pass steps 1 and 2 of the USMLE exam. So if we look at all of the interested applicants who send their materials to us, really only about 60% survive to eventual certification. And when they're certified, then they can proceed to take step 1 and step 2. They receive what we call a token, which is really their ability, it's their ID number to take the exam. The primary source verification that we do of their diploma and transcript also is very important for those who then successfully match, because then that determines their eligibility for a visa, the J-1 visa, to come into the United States. So we get about 10,000 physicians annually, plus or minus, that seek ECFMG certification. And that number has been pretty steady for a while. I will admit I'm a little bit nervous looking towards the future because I feel that the attitude in the United States may discourage some people to come to the United States for further training, whether it's the individual who's discouraged, whether it's leaders in their universities, or frankly, whether their parents want them to come to the United States. And I think that's something that we really have to deal with. This past year, we had individuals who graduated from over 1,100 medical schools in 134 countries around the world. So the electronic residency application service, which is how all individuals apply for residency programs in the United States, whether they're at a U.S. school or an international school, is what the process is. We process that for international graduates. We are really like their local dean's office, so that we help them navigate through this somewhat complicated process, and we also offer them resources to help them, counsel them as they're making choices of where they're applying, what specialties they are applying. We really look at every one of these individuals, you know, the 21,000 plus that we interact with as customers. And we deal with them on the phone, we work with them over the internet, however the best way is to communicate with them. For those that then are successful in the match, we are the sole agency that is allowed by the Department of State to sponsor their J-1 visas. Right now we have about 10,000 individuals in training that we oversee who have a J-1 visa. Some of you may be familiar with the H-1 visa program. Really, it's a small minority of those who are in training in the United States, maybe 400 of the thousands of international graduates in training who are on an H-1 visa. The foundation of the J-1 visa program is that it's a way to enhance educational and cultural exchange between the United States and other countries. It's to help develop a mutual understanding by the United States and the other countries. And as I mentioned, we are the only authorized agency to work with the State Department. It's the State Department that grants the visas, but we're the sponsor for the students. This is something that has been very successful. The State Department has been an excellent partner with us in screening these individuals for J-1 visas, as you can see. And as I mentioned before, we have over 10,000 J-1 visas right now that are essentially in every state in addition to Puerto Rico. Primary care specialties are the primary specialties where they match, so it's internal medicine, pediatrics, and family medicine. Because we're acting as their dean's office and advising them, we have a lot of resources for them, including webinars to help them go through this. We orient them as to how the U.S. health system works, how the residency programs work. Something that is new is we've set up an international medical graduate advisors network, which is really a peer-to-peer network to help individuals as they go through the process, and then after they're successful as well as to what they need to do. This is probably the largest bulk of the work that ECFMG does. In addition, though, in recent years, we've started a credential verification program for other countries. So there's a lot of migration across borders of physicians moving from country to country. And so we have offered our services to do credential verification for other countries. Because it's something that we've been doing for many decades, it's something that we're very good at. So we work with the medical regulatory authorities in a variety of different countries. And you can see the list of almost a dozen countries with whom we're working, and this list is growing in addition to that. GEMEX is something that I really hope and would like all of you to know about. This is our student exchange program, and it's a computer-based exchange program where students can go online and find where there are rotations in the specialties that they're interested in the United States. And likewise, United States students can do the same thing in other countries as well. And we've been very successful, and we have a lot of activity here in Mexico through this program, and it's something that I really encourage everybody to check out. A few words about FAMER. As I mentioned earlier, it's a nonprofit subsidiary of ECFMG. I'm the chair of its board. We work to really improve health throughout the world through education. I'm a firm believer that the progress that we're going to make in improving health care starts with excellent medical education. The heart of the FAMER program is a fellowship program that focuses on education methods and teaches leadership. So I'm going to put somebody on the spot. Do we have a former FAMER fellow in the audience? Irene, tell everybody, there she is. Give Irene a hand. She's been through the program, and I know that she can tell each of you in a conversation how important it's been for her career, what she's learned in sort of this new club that she's in with individuals, the 1,000+ FAMER fellows around the world. And I hope that we can have more fellows from Mexico as well. We also have regional programs throughout the world and FAMER institutes that really is teaching the teacher, doing things to improve medical education and to improve health. I do want to point out that we're able to actually give a graduate degree for those that are interested. We have a distance learning program with Keele University in the UK that's very new. In fact, our first class was just awarded their degree a few weeks ago, and it's something that we really want to grow as well. And the FAMER research has to do with outcomes, educational outcomes, and how that affects healthcare. Again, something I think is important to all of us. So I want to talk about something that is very important to me. So I know that there are people in the audience that are old enough to have seen the movie The Graduate, so this looks familiar. And you may remember the scene when Dustin Hoffman is back home right after graduating from college, and his parents' friends are there, and one of the friends comes up to him to give him his sage advice of how to plan his career. And he says, "I want to say one word to you." And it's just one word that he wants to say. And he says, "Are you listening?" And as the slide indicates, in the movie, that one word was plastics. But to me, and to ECFMG, and to FAMER, that one word is partnerships. And I really want to stress with everybody that we are seeking to firm up existing partnerships and find new partnerships. Collaboration is something that we all need to do to be able to improve medical education and then improve health care in our communities. And so one of the reasons that I was thrilled to receive the invitation to be here with you the last 2 days is this is an opportunity for me to meet more people and to get you to understand, hopefully understand, how earnest we are in seeking partnerships. I recognize, even though I'm new to ECFMG, that there are some people around the world that see ECFMG as being complicit in the brain drain from many, particularly underdeveloped countries, where they struggle to establish and promote quality health. That is not anywhere near what we do or what our mission is. Our goal, as I've said, is to improve health care locally in communities around the world. Yes, some people are going to want to come to the United States for further training, and we want to help them do that. But our hope with that is that they're going to then go back to their country and become leaders in healthcare and improve the quality back there. So as we're processing individuals to be ECFMG certified, we're looking for ways with our partners around the world to promote healthcare back in everybody's country. And I just sort of give you a couple definitions of what I think a partnership is. I've got John Kennedy's partnership up there, where partners are both served without domination or unfair advantage. A professor at Harvard Business School with whom I've had the opportunity to be in contact, Professor Galati, says that partnership only succeeds when both partners receive the value they expect. And I've developed my own definition of partnerships, where we have a successful partnership has a common vision, common goals and objectives, and a shared risk and reward in the investment of the endeavors that are going on. And with these principles, we are seeking further partnerships and collaborations. So now I want to get to the point where I think that we may have some controversy. And again, I'm going to direct my remarks toward the point that the goal of accreditation and recognition in 2023 is really about improving quality of medical education throughout the world. So my board, back in 2010, long before I ever had a thought of being part of ECFMG, passed a resolution that we at ECFMG will only process individuals who are interested in certification if they come from a medical school that has been accredited, and that medical school, the agency that accredited them has been recognized by a world standard of accrediting medical schools. And the reason that the board passed that, number one, to assure that the applicants coming into the United States are coming with a proper education and background. And again, that really is just a small part of what was intended. The larger part was trying to really put a stake in the ground to provide the impetus for countries to examine their accreditation processes. If they don't have accreditation, to develop accreditation and work with some agreed upon standards worldwide that they could measure their performance. And I very much enjoyed the panel discussion and presentations yesterday and really agree with the remarks that were made as to when it was talked about the pluses and what that brings to the countries. ECFMG is not involved in accrediting or recognizing agencies around the world. We do work closely with the World Federation of Medical Education, WFME, who has developed standards and is now in the process of receiving applications by accrediting bodies and measuring them against these standards. And it's something that we feel is extremely important. And again, I'll say, not for people coming to the United States, because we can deal with that, but it's incredibly important to raise the standard of medical education and the standards of healthcare around the world. And so I've elucidated those points on this slide. And the very last bullet point on this slide says, protect the public. And I put it at the bottom on purpose so that I could say to you, it really should be at the top, because that's the end point. The goal is assuring that in each and every one of our communities, we are training physicians and putting physicians into those communities that are going to deliver quality health care in a professional way. That's the goal of this 2023 activity. So it takes place, as I just said, sometime in 2023. There is not a date set at the moment. This is the timeline through which we've been working. The first accrediting agency was recognized in 2012. And now there's a program that's very systematic in place through WFME that sends out the criteria. There are individuals that can help to coach agencies in terms of how they measure their activities, their standards against the WFME. And then we have, WFME has been training individuals to review these applications, and it involves a site visit to then do the site visits to affirm what was in the application is actually what is being processed. FAMR, because FAMR is recognized around the world as a foundation very much interested in improving healthcare through education and research, FAMR has agreed to work with WFME in setting those standards, helping to look at standards that are used around the world, putting them into a cohesive document, and then to train individuals to review the documents and then go to and do the site visitors. And at this point, a FAMR representative has frequently been what we call the secretary on the site visit, that is recording the information and facilitating the visit. We've decided at ECFMG that the only international recognition program that we will work with is WFME. And we've made that decision because of the quality of their standards and how they've organized their activities and are working with the various countries. As I mentioned, FAMR has worked with them, and we have a very high level of confidence that this will meet the ECFMG requirement and therefore meet the requirements in each of your countries. So I really encourage everybody in this room to look at the accreditation processes in your countries, work with your countries to evaluate and apply for recognition by WFME. I think it will definitely raise the status of your accrediting body, raise the status of your schools in terms of how they're looked at around the world, and it will facilitate the ability of your graduates to move to other countries for some training before they come back home, or even to the United States for further training before they come back home. So far, there's a handful of agencies that have gone through this, and there's probably twice or 3 times as many that are in the queue right now. The first one was in the Caribbean, then Turkey, the Canadian medical schools, Korean medical schools, an accrediting body out of Ireland, actually, ACCM. And then there's a whole list of others that Australian Medical Council is due to have their site visit in May. I hope I've left enough time for some questions because I really would like to hear some of your thoughts, particularly about the accreditation process. I'm just show you that at our website, these are some of the resources available for ECFMG certification. So thank you very much again for the opportunity to be here, and I really look forward to having some questions. Thank you.